Well, few people understand the complexities of Afghan politics and culture better than UK Conservative MP Tom Tugendhat. A former Lieutenant Colonel in the British Army, Tugendhat served in both Afghanistan and Iraq, was a military assistant to the Defence Chief of Staff. He also holds a Master's in Islamic Studies from Cambridge University. Now he's chair of Westminster's Foreign Affairs Select Committee. He's one of the West's most influential foreign policy thinkers and a powerful advocate for freedom and democracy. He has described the fall of Kabul as the biggest foreign policy disaster since Suez. He joins me now. Tom Tugendhat, thank you very much for your time. How do you feel seeing the pictures of desperate Afghans clinging to that American C-17 at Kabul airport and the images too on board the aircraft? For those who scrambled on board, I said earlier in my show, what a hero that pilot is, because whatever the rules, he decided to take off with those people on board.
So I have nothing but praise for the United States Air Force crew who've behaved with heroism throughout and done absolutely brilliantly. But I have to say, I find this entire situation extremely heartbreaking and very, very difficult, because this is somewhere I spent 4 years of my life. Like many people, I lost friends there, and not just, Brits, but Americans, Afghans, Australians. There were many others who we served alongside, and to see the effort of our militaries come to this is it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult for all of us.
I played a speech from the US President only a matter of weeks ago, July, where he basically said that this wouldn't happen and it would be nothing like the scenes we saw in Saigon in '75. What went so wrong with this withdrawal?
Well, I'm not quite sure whether the US hadn't predicted it, in which case, why not? Because quite literally everybody else had, or had predicted it and didn't prepare, again, in which case, why not? Because this, I'm afraid, has been pretty obvious to quite a lot of people, and many of us have been saying it for several months now, that this isn't something we can just pull out of overnight. We can't just disappear as though we didn't have an enduring commitment. It's going to affect us for a long time. And it's a very, very difficult thing to understand, therefore, how this was allowed to happen.
What does America's retreat mean for the balance of power?
Well, this is fundamental. I mean, I've heard some people make the somewhat bizarre argument that we're doing this in order to focus on China. I mean, that's a little bit like a boxer saying, I'm losing the first 3 rounds so that I can, be fresh for the 4th. You don't. You make incremental gains. You hold the line. You build up allies, and you show that you're trustworthy and dependable to others around the world. I'm afraid what this does is it makes democracies, of which the US is, of course, the leading one, look less trustworthy, less dependable, and therefore gives some people cause to doubt. And I'm afraid will give people like the Chinese and Russian foreign ministers the opportunity to crow. They'll be wrong, because actually we do still have the resolve in many parts of the world, and we do know that the one thing that we are prepared to do is to fight. But they will, as President Bush put us, misunderestimate us.
There were warnings already today in the Global Times. This is the Chinese government mouthpiece for Australians at home that don't read it, but it was warning the people of Taiwan that America won't stand with them. It didn't stand with Afghanistan. It has huge ramifications, obviously, not just in the Middle East, but in our theatre, our region down here in Australia. And of course, Russia and China are very quick to recognise the Taliban regime. How concerned are you about a return of now a well-funded, organised and certain geographically central terrorist power?
I'm very concerned about it, but I have to say, I think that the decision by Moscow and Beijing has been extraordinary. Effectively, what they've done is they've thrown fresh meat at a crocodile in the hope that it's going to eat them last. They're celebrating the withdrawal of the United States and the UK. But who's first in line now? The East Turkmenistan Islamic movement didn't bomb London, didn't attack Washington, but has focused on defending their Muslim brothers and sisters in the Uyghur community in Xinjiang. Al-Qaeda and ISIS are still active. We know that they're alongside the Taliban in Afghanistan. But their partners in the Caucasus didn't attack the UK. They attacked in Beslan and attacked in Russia. The idea that this is good for anyone is laughable. You now have a community in Afghanistan that is seen as resurgent, that is claiming a Pashtun nationalism that for some includes large areas of Pakistan. It's a Sunni fundamentalist movement that nearly went to war with Iran before 9/11 in 2001, and may well again decide that the people they see as apostates in Shia Islam in Iran should again be killed. This is not good for anybody. And those who've been celebrating and supporting the Taliban in recent years may well find they've made themselves a very uncomfortable bed to lie in.
And just before we go, I want to remind my viewers too, the bravery of your ambassador. Many said that he had fled Kabul, but I understand he's made a makeshift sort of consul office at the airport to help provide visas to people to escape. Is that right?
That is right. Look, so Laurie Bristow has got a long history of taking very difficult posts. He had to work with Sergei Lavrov in Moscow for a number of years. So I think working with the Taliban will be, well within his capabilities. And he's an extraordinarily impressive guy. Look, he's doing very well. He's on good form. He's working with some of our finest. Brigade commander in Afghanistan is a very dear friend, and so I know that they'll be getting on very well. And I have to say, if you want to know what's going on there, the visas are being processed by British Army soldiers, 18, 19-year-olds, many of whom have never done this before. I mean, they're showing an adaptability and a resilience that really makes you proud.
Well, Tom Tugendhat, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.